Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. So we do daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The important news and editorial that would be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 29th of April. The first important news, that is the National Health Account Estimate for 1920. This is from the explained page of the Indian Express. Second, that is Prime Minister launches 91 new FM transmitters in Indian estates. Third, that is Defense Minister called for fixing accountability on supporters of the terrorism. This was with regards to the SCU ongoing meeting which India has chaired. The fourth, Supreme Court directs all states to register case over the hate speech. The state can take the suo motu cognizance of any hate speech. And the last is an editorial. The Women's Reservation Bill cannot wait any longer. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further ado, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe. Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. And if you're looking forward for the integrated test series, we at Apti Plus are providing you 30 prelims plus 8 All India mains level test. This will be followed by free IAS Guest State magazine, a must read for the current affairs. Free mentorship is also the part of the integrated test series. This will include the test on PYQs, current affairs, CSAT and full length test. Accordingly, the student will be also provided with the flexibility with the date and time scheduled for the test. For more details, refer to the description section of this video where I provided a dedicated link to check further details and register for this course. Now, starting with the first news, that is National Health Account Estimate for 1920. This is the latest finding that we have. Something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic, that is issues related to development and management of health. So recently, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has released the National Health Account Estimate Report for India, that is for 1920, and this has been revealed. And the following facts about the health outcome is there in the account estimate that was released. Now, what were the findings of the report? That is important. Even not only for prelims examination, you can also use the fact which is there for the mains examination. So, ये दोनों examination में कई बार help. The National Health Account Estimate reports and noted that there has been consistent increase in the government spending. The number I'll tell you, but for time being, the report find that जो government की spending है वो बढ़ी है. Earlier it was 1.13% for financial year 2015. For the current financial year, it has increased marginally to 1.35%. Right now. And it has also found that the out-of-pocket expenses of the people has declined. Why? Because government is providing support with some of the social security benefits when it comes to health sector and even providing the benefits out of the scheme. Now, although the number is still far from the target of 2.5% of the investment in the healthcare sector by 2025, which is actually the vision of Government of India. Now, out-of-pocket expenses की अगर बात करें, if you see the share of the out-of-pocket expenses mean the part of the expenses that is made by an individual, and during COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that the out-of-pocket expenses were on the higher side because people were not able to afford such high vaccines and even injections, and even at that time the livelihood options were very restricted. So it says that the expenditure in the total healthcare has declined from 62.6% to 47.1% for 1920, and it shows the progress towards ensuring a financial protection and universal health coverage for citizens, which is actually the Government of India initiative and the part of the measures. It also aims that to bring down the as low as possibility by investing in the public healthcare. Even not only healthcare but also for the insurance, so that people do not have to sell out money when they are sick. Now, the second important focus area is on the primary sector. The primary sectors की बात करें, major chunks of government health spending was there on the primary sector. If you see by the data for the financial year, earlier it was like from 29.6. There's a segregation out of the total spending of the government healthcare in financial year 2020. 55.9% went to primary healthcare. This was the dominated sector. उसके अलावा secondary की अगर बात करें, this is 29.6%, and the tertiary sector has 6.4%. So this is again something which will be relevant for you as a factual information. Now, this has been achieved with 1.15 lakh healthcare and wellness center across the country that is seen for cancer, diabetics, and eye diseases as well. Now, there's an increase in social security expenditure, which I told you at the beginning. That Union Health Secretary ने specifically point out करते हुए बताया that government ने जो social security की expenditure है, the social security expenditure of the government has increased from 5.7% to 9.3% for financial year 2020. So this is again a handsome increase which we can see, which is evidential fact. And the last is increase in spending on the insurances. So along with the increase in the government spending, it has also found जो spendings हैं insurances में वो भी बढ़ी हैं in terms of the healthcare insurance, and private purchase healthcare insurance has made only 3.9% of the total expenditure for the financial year 2015, which has increased to 7.7% for the financial year 2020. And the government financed health insurance spending की अगर बात करें, जो कि पहले 3.8 थी, उसे बढ़ के 6.37 पे लाने में government was able successful, right? So these were the report categorically stating each and important aspects, depending from the out-of-pocket expenses, social security, health, and insurances, and even the contributions to the primary sectors. Now, healthcare spending by states की अगर बात करें, there is a suggestion which was made by the नीति आयोग. नीति आयोग के मेंबर हैं वीके पॉल. उन्होंने कहा that the national health account estimate report could meaningfully use to the states on their policies and budget. तो state governments इस तरह के जो estimates हैं उनसे अपने policies में मदद कर सकती हैं. Even to tell you in this context that Rajasthan government has recently passed a bill where they have guaranteed the part of diagnostic disease and the part of the treatment for free of cost, right? So this was needed for the state to increase their contributions to the health sector. And even if you see the part of the policy that government of India has already envisioned as a national health policy 2017. कुछ aspects को छोड़ करके, and even for the states, like measure of the states were not able to achieve 8% of the target, and most states has stand on the graph of 4.45% to 5% of their budget targets, right? And only 2 big states and 3 smaller states have crossed 8% of the target for the financial year. If you see, Delhi had contributed 18.7% for the spending on health, Kerala 8%, Puducherry 10.5%, Meghalaya 8.9%, and Goa 8.7% as per the report, right? So if you're preparing for any state public service commission examination and you are writing, you can specifically highlight about the state. Now, moving to the other news, Prime Minister launches 91 new FM transmitters in 18 states, something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So Prime Minister has recently commissioned the FM transmitters of 100 watt capacity at 91 locations in the country, right? And these transmitter will help another part of the installation that will take place in 85 districts or 18 states, though union territories में इनकी distributions की गई है. Now with this network, definitely the transmissions of All India Radio, that is AIR, will increase from 524 to 650. This is a point to be noted. And in addition, it will also boost the coverage of AIR to 73.5% of the population in the country. This data is again significantly important for both prelims and mains examination. Now priority दी गई है location को in term of installation, which was the area which government have prioritized. So specifically जो LWE के areas है, left wing extremist के जो hit areas थे उनको priority दी गई है. Aspirational districts के program के अंदर जो districts हैं उन्हें रखा गया है. And even the border area where government is also having a very important program, I think you must be able to recall, that is the Vibrant Village program, right? So has been given priority in the installations of the transmitters. Now clear sound and easy availability of the FM receivers through the mobile phone have increased, and the demand of FM radio in the country. Now in other steps towards meeting the demand and the capacity building, the government has also further approved the installation of 63 FM transmitter in the country. लिंग्विस्टिक डाइवर्सिटी को और ज़्यादा प्रमोट करने की कोशिश की गई है विद द पार्ट ऑफ ट्रांसमिशन दैट हैज़ इंक्रीज्ड इन द एफएम. सो कमिशनाइजिंग द पार्ट ऑफ एफएम ट्रांसमिशन विल हेल्प द पार्ट एंड इवन द vision of the Prime Minister to touch upon the dimension of linguistic diversity, जो इंडिया की एक बहुत ही important asset है. Even if you see, if you travel 20 kilometer, the dialects of Indian language actually change, right? So इस तरह से जो 27 डायलेक्ट्स अलग अलग हैं उनको भी बहुत हद तक एक एम्पावरमेंट मिलेगी, ताकि वो अपने हर एक लैंग्वेज में जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर की मन की बात है, इवन एनी अदर प्रोग्राम दैट इज देयर, दे विल बी एबल टू हियर. The optical fiber in the village is the cheapest cost of the data that is accessible for the information, and even pushed to the digital entrepreneurship in the village. Now, Akashvani, which is the largest FM radio network in the country, will carry the growth story for India to every corner of the country. Almost, as I've told you, 73% के आसपास 73.5% की coverage already पूरे इंडिया में हो चुकी. Now, Defense Minister called for fixing accountability on supporters of the terrorism. This is an ongoing part of the SCO meeting, which is ongoing. The part of news is important for General Studies paper 2, that is bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So India's Defense Minister during the session which is ongoing for the SCO meeting, which India is a current chair और इंडिया इज होस्टिंग दिस SCO मीटिंग, तो इसमें बात की गई है इंडिया की तरफ से कि अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स करने की ज़रूरत है वैसे कंट्रीज को जो टेररिज्म को सपोर्ट करते हैं, एंड इवन एवरी मेंबर कंट्री शुड अपोज इट, राइट. सो ही पिच्ड द डिफेंस मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया हैज पिच्ड फॉर द रीजनल कॉपरेशंस, जहाँ पे सोवर्निटी और टेरिटोरियल इंटीग्रिटी की बात की गई है, एंड इवन द कमेंट वाज आल्सो सीन विद द रेफरेंस टू अ मैसेज टू पाकिस्तान एंड चाइना respectively. SCO was founded by the summit called Shanghai in 2001, and the president of the country include the Russia, China, Kyrgyz Republic, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Concept of secular, जो कि इंडिया ने specifically इसे highlight किए. The defense minister has highlighted the theme as secure, and what does this secure mean? S stands for security for citizen, E stands for economic development for all, C stands for connectivity of the region, U for uniting the people, R for respecting the sovereignty and integrity, and E stands for environmental protections, right? So if you're writing in mains examination specifically, you have to must highlight this point, and those of you who are having PSIR as an optional, उनके लिए ये सारी चीज़ें बहुत हद तक काफ़ी important है. Now, इंडिया की क्या विजन है SCO को लेकर के? In general, for the part of terrorism, the defense minister has categorically noted that India envisioned for a robust framework when it comes to regional cooperations, and even a mutual respect to sovereignty and territorial integrity in part of taking care for the legitimate interest of the member countries. Definitely, India called for boosting the trust and cooperation among the members upon the part of the SCO and many other forums. Definitely, a cooperation between the member countries is essentially required to maintain the peace and security based provision, which is already the part of the UN Charter, right? And the defense minister has noted there is a need to respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity for the country, and even the regional framework that come within the 3-year border cross between India and China. And we have seen that when it comes to the LAC region, line of actual control, Eastern Ladakh की बात करें, the substantial progress has not yet been made. And India is moving forward with the collaborative approach in field of defense partnership, keeping in mind with the shared interest. Now, there's a global challenge which definitely need to be addressed. While India is hosting the SCO summit for this time, that is for 2023, Defense Minister has said that today a large part of world is passing through the food crisis, and even urge the SCO members countries to ensure food security under the integrated plan. We have seen during the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, things has also taken the worst situation. This established that the SEO role model as a whole in the world and energy security should be the part of the common strategy. And he called for secure, stable, and prosperous region that could help in improving the quality of life and people of each member nation benefiting out of it. Now, Supreme Court directed all states to register the case over the hate speech, something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is structure, organization, and functions of executive and judiciary. So, Supreme Court, in its proactive role, has recently directed all the states and the union territories, this includes state as well as union territories, that if any hate speech is coming in the specific domain, they can take the suo motu action and register an FIR without any complaint. So Supreme Court has come strict on the part of hate speech. Why? Because Supreme Court feel that definitely this is something which is impacting the secular character of India or Bharat as envisaged in the preamble. So we should respect it. And Supreme Court ने काफी strict decision लिए हैं. Definitely all states and UT will have to implement it. The order was passed by the top court in October 2022 by the suo motu registration of the FIR on hate speech that was passed against Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, and Uttarakhand government. Now, the directive by the Supreme Court, what they have given, the apex court ने warn किया है that registration in hate speech can be treated as an contempt of the court. अगर किसी states ने नहीं किया है, कोर्ट हैज वांट दैट डिले अगर होती है किसी भी स्टेट्स की तरफ से, तो वो कोर्ट उसको कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट मानेगी. द कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट इज मीन दैट यू आर नॉट respecting the part of directives of the Supreme Court. In Hindi it's called as like court की आदेश की अवहेलना करना. You are not actually adhering to the part of the directives that is given by the Honorable Supreme Court, so that will be counted as a contempt. So this will be terminated as a hate speech and serious offences that is capable for the secular fabric of this country. Now, the top court has also heard the bunch of petitions with regards to the hate crime, and even it has passed the order directing the state and UT to take concrete measures. Now, the bench has ordered that the DGPs, that is the head of the police in the state, the Director General of Police in the state, to inform all their subordinate officers, that will include the SP in the concerned district, to take appropriate action in accordance with the law and resolve the issue at the earliest. The bench has also served the response from the Maharashtras on the contempt petitions which filed for the failure of action taken against the hate speech. Recent time में कई ऐसे states है, like even for the state like Jharkhand, some of the cities in Dhanbad, we have seen the cases of the hate speech emerging. Now, what is a penal provision when this part has to be taken care of? The Supreme Court has categorically highlighted the penal provision when it comes to hate speech, or IPC, though Indian Penal Code hai, the Indian judiciary system is being guided by the IPC. And even in IPC, it has been clearly mentioned that I-153, जहाँ पे promoting enmity between the different group on the ground on the religion can be invoked. 153B कब लगाई जा सकती है? जब implications and assertions of prejudicial to national integrity हो. 505 for public mischief, and 295A, that is a deliberate and malicious act intended to outrage the public feeling or the religious feeling. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, Women's Reservation Bill cannot wait any longer. Something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is the Parliament and State Legislature structure, function, conduct of businesses, power and privileges, and issues arising from it. So what I'm going to discuss under this editorial, first the focus and theme of this editorial is Women Reservation Bill. Then we'll see the part on the editorial, that is the important issues include the demand since pre-independence. This is not something that is being demanded now. Since independence and pre-independence, the demand for the reservation of women on the legislative part, on the role-making body has been envisaged. Women की क्या contributions है वो देखेंगे. Amendment to the Panchayati Raj Act, ग्लोबल एग्जाम्पल्स और दूसरे कंट्रीज में किस तरह से हैं, एंड इवन द वे फॉरवर्ड. Now, if you see the part of India, I mean, India may have achieved the part of suffrage early, but women still face the barrier when it comes to political participations because they have not been given the right to govern. जिस तरह से रिजर्वेशन की बात की गई है पार्लियामेंट में, लेजिस्लेटिव प्रोसेसेस में, वो अभी तक वुमेन्स को नहीं दी गई. इवन इन दैट कंटेक्स्ट 108 amendment which was there in 2008 which seeks to give one third of the seat reservation for the women has not been passed, and not only for the Lok Sabha, it also passes the reservation for the state legislative assembly. Now, this is disheartening that the fact that after 75 years of independence, when India is celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and Amrit Kal, we definitely need to look into the part where the reservations should be given to women, which just hold 14% of the seat at current. Now it's time to acknowledge the systematic exclusion of the women from the politics, demand actions to create more equitable political landscape and making it equitable and even uniform for both male as well as for female. Now demand since pre-independence हुई है women के reservation को लेकर के. The discourse for the women reservation has originated in the pre-independence time, and if you see way back to 1955, the government has appointed and recommended 10% reservation in the Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly where reservation of women was actually envisaged. But उसके बाद भी कोई प्रोग्रेस नहीं हुई और नेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव प्लान बनाई गई वुमेन्स के लिए 1988 में, and they've recommended 30% of the seats for the elected body should be reserved for women. Again, no progress was made. The recommendations was reiterated by the National Policy for the Empowerment of Women, which was adopted in 2001, and definitely a substantial conclusion on this part is awaiting from the government of India. Now moving ahead with the part that is women contribution. The women play a very crucial role in fighting independence role, right? And the ongoing demonstration leading to rallies and other awareness campaign which is thereby especially for the women's, and they have numerous female representation in the constituent assembly as well. And despite the fact there was the efficiency women in politics, they have been since independence 1980, जहाँ पे अगर patriarchal backlash की भी बात करें, the status of women in India has been ideal. If you see the contribution of women, especially during the modern times, from Sarojini Naidu to many other women, they have substantially contributed during the part of independence, right? So we cannot deny the fact that the women has definitely made a substantial contribution during the independence also, and to a larger extent post independence and during the formation of the constituent assembly, women definitely had made a substantial role in the progress of this country. And continuing the discussion on the part of the reservation, an important amendment to Panchayati Raj Act is also an evidential fact. In 1993, the Panchayati Raj Act was amended and thus called for the reservation for 33% of the seats in the local bodies for women, which was a significant steps towards the political empowerment for the women, right? This was a one part that has actually come up in the Panchayati Raj Act, and the success of this reservation has led to the demand for similar reservation in the elected bodies in 1996, and even the women reservation bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha, right? And the bill proposed to reserve one seats in the part of the Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly for women. But however, facing a strong opposition from the political parties, the bill actually lapsed and gained more momentum in early 2000s. Now, कुछ global examples की अगर बात करें, not only for India, if you see across the globe, women leader are outperforming as compared to the male counterpart, and even the Scandinavian countries, including the part of the implementation of the policies in the governance, these countries have actually supported the gender equality and women empowerment that include women representations in political and leadership position. If you see, many countries have a great contributions of the women, and even they have the role where women is given an equal opportunity. Moreover, the countries led by women have shown that they have some best politics and governance practices. Even if an example, if you see the part of the Nordic countries like Norway have implemented the quota system in 2003 and required 40% of the seat for the corporate board to be occupied by women. So this is a classical example which you can use in the mains paper if you're writing in the mains. And now it's time for India to, which is called the mother of democracy, to lead the nation and set a precedent. Now, the way forward in this context, definitely, if you see the part of the framer of the constitution of this country, Baba Bhim Sahib Ambedkar, or you can say B.R. Ambedkar, was a one who has opinion for the progress of this community of India. And he said that the degree of progress in which women has achieved the success is something a benchmark for a development of a society, and women can be like waiting too long for right to be governed, and not just themselves but for better for the common good. Now India must now let and take women to transform this country, and this is a part where definitely a women entrepreneurship, the part of the governance, even we see the corporate governance more or less even to the extent in the cabinet, but we do not see such a high part of the participation, but only like for the finance minister, which is Nirmala Sitharaman, minister of textile, no, that is there, Smriti Irani, and other leaders, and even for the part of the MOS, finance, MOS basically, that is external affairs minister. These are some of the part. Meenakshi Lekhi is the individual. So they have the mainstream that is following the cabinet. But although we definitely require more people to have a representation, not only in the cabinet, but the women in general, when they take the seat or they lead, it gives motivation to the masses of the society, specifically the women. So the government and stakeholders should take into the consideration where the role of women is pivotal, and they can definitely play an important role in the nation building and overall development of this country. So this is a fact that must be taken into the cognizance at the earliest, and a law and a rule has to be passed to ensure that yes, the equal representation for women is a priority in the need of that. Now moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is B. For second question, the correct option is A. Today's MCQ for practice, Defense Expo 2022 के बारे में आपको बताना है. It was only Indian companies that participated in the exhibitions, and the theme for the year is Path to Pride. Second question is about the positive Indianization list. The list of the items, including the Indian Armed Force, will have a procedures only for the domestic manufacturers, and the manufacturers should be defense public sector undertaking and not less than the public sector. So these were some of the important statements for the day, and this was all about for the today's daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.